According to the National Electrical Code, you cannot place a new breaker panel in the same location as an existing panel if that location is within 12 inches of a laundry sink. The NEC requires a minimum clearance of 36 inches from the edge of the sink to the nearest edge of the electrical panel. The NEC considers a laundry sink to be a wet location, and electrical panels are required to be installed in dry locations. The NEC defines a wet location as an area where water may occasionally come into contact with equipment or wiring. The reason for this requirement is to prevent water from coming into contact with the electrical panel and causing a short circuit or shock hazard. Water can damage the electrical components inside the panel, causing them to malfunction or even catch fire. If you need to relocate the breaker panel, there are specific steps to take to ensure safety and code compliance. Firstly, turn off the main power to the house at the utility meter. This is crucial to prevent electrical shock during the relocation process. Secondly, remove the cover from the existing electrical panel. Before doing this, verify that the power is indeed off using a voltage tester. Thirdly, disconnect all of the wires from the panel. Label each wire clearly before disconnecting it. This is essential for reconnecting the wires correctly in the new panel. Use wire markers or tape to identify each wire according to its function and destination. Fourthly, remove the panel from the wall. Ensure the panel is completely free of any electrical connections before removing it. Fifthly, install the new electrical panel in the new location. Make sure the new location meets all NEC requirements, including the 36-inch clearance from the laundry sink and any other applicable clearances from other potential hazards or obstructions. Secure the new panel firmly to the wall using appropriate fasteners. Sixthly, connect all of the wires to the new panel. Refer to the labels you created earlier to ensure each wire is connected to the correct terminal. Double-check all connections to ensure they are tight and secure. Seventhly, install the cover on the new panel. Make sure the cover is properly seated and securely fastened. Eighthly, turn on the main power to the house and test the new panel. After restoring power, test each circuit breaker to ensure it is functioning correctly. Use the circuit tester to verify that each outlet and appliance is receiving power. If you encounter any problems, such as the circuit breaker tripping immediately or an outlet not working, turn off the power immediately and investigate the issue. It's essential to consult the National Electrical Code for detailed regulations and requirements related to electrical panel installations. The NEC provides specific guidelines for wire sizing, grounding, overcurrent protection, and other critical aspects of electrical safety. Always follow the NEC guidelines to ensure a safe and compliant electrical installation. Remember that working with electricity can be dangerous. If you are not comfortable performing any of these steps, it's best to hire a qualified electrician to do the work. A licensed electrician has the training and experience to safely and correctly relocate the breaker panel, ensuring that it meets all applicable codes and regulations. In addition to the clearance requirements from sinks, there are other factors to consider when choosing a location for an electrical panel. Firstly, access. The panel should be easily accessible for maintenance and repairs. Avoid placing it behind furniture or in areas that are difficult to reach. Secondly, environmental conditions. The panel should be located in a dry, well-ventilated area. Avoid locations that are prone to moisture, dust, or extreme temperatures. Thirdly, working space. The NEC requires a minimum amount of working space in front of the electrical panel. This space should be clear of obstructions and provide enough room for a person to safely work on the panel. Fourthly, dedicated circuits. Consider the need for dedicated circuits for appliances such as refrigerators, washing machines, and dryers. These appliances require their own circuits to prevent overloading the electrical system. Fifthly, future expansion. Plan for future electrical needs by selecting a panel with enough capacity to accommodate additional circuits. It's always better to have more capacity than you currently need to allow for future expansion. The National Electrical Code is updated regularly, so it's important to stay current with the latest edition. The NEC is a comprehensive set of guidelines that covers all aspects of electrical installations, from wiring methods to grounding requirements. By following the NEC, you can ensure a safe and reliable electrical system. When relocating an electrical panel, it's important to obtain the necessary permits from your local building department. Permits are required for most electrical work and ensure that the installation meets all applicable codes and regulations. The building department will typically inspect the installation to verify that it complies with the NEC and local requirements. If you are hiring an electrician, make sure they are licensed and insured. A licensed electrician has met the requirements for training and experience and is authorized to perform electrical work in your area. Insurance protects you from liability in case of accidents or damage during the installation. Before starting any electrical work, it's important to disconnect the power to the circuit you will be working on. This can be done by turning off the circuit breaker that controls the circuit. Use a voltage tester to verify that the power is off before touching any wires. Always treat electrical circuits as if they are alive, even when you think the power is off. When working with electrical wires, use insulated tools. Insulated tools protect you from electrical shock in case you accidentally touch a live wire. Wear safety glasses to protect your eyes from sparks or debris. It's also a good idea to wear gloves to protect your hands. Never work on electrical equipment when you are wet or standing in water. Water is a conductor of electricity and can increase your risk of electrical shock. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, it's best to hire a qualified electrician to do the work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it's important to take the necessary precautions to protect yourself from injury. The NEC also addresses the proper grounding of electrical panels. Grounding provides a path for fault current to flow back to the source, which helps to protect against electrical shock and fire hazards. The grounding system should be properly installed and maintained to ensure its effectiveness. Grounding electrodes, such as ground rods or metal water pipes, should be properly sized and connected to the electrical panel. The grounding conductor should be sized according to the NEC requirements and should be securely connected to the grounding electrode and the electrical panel. The NEC also requires the use of ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, in certain locations. GFCIs are designed to detect small amounts of current leakage and quickly shut off the power to the circuit. GFCIs are typically required in wet locations such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor areas. When selecting a new electrical panel, consider the number of circuits you will need. The panel should have enough spaces for all of your current circuits and provide room for future expansion. It's also important to choose a panel that is rated for the appropriate voltage and amperage. The voltage rating of the panel should match the voltage of your electrical service. The amperage rating of the panel should be sufficient to handle the load of all of the circuits connected to it. When installing a new electrical panel, follow the manufacturer's instructions carefully. The manufacturer's instructions will provide detailed information on how to install the panel correctly and safely. If you have any questions about the installation process, contact the manufacturer or a qualified electrician. After installing a new electrical panel, it's important to have it inspected by a qualified electrical inspector. The inspector will verify that the installation meets all applicable codes and regulations. The inspection will help to ensure that the electrical system is safe and reliable. The NEC also addresses the use of arc fault circuit interrupters, or SIs. SIs are designed to detect arc faults, which are a common cause of electrical fires. SIs are typically required in bedrooms and other areas where people sleep. When working with electrical panels, it's important to be aware of the potential hazards. Electrical panels contain live electrical components that can cause serious injury or death if touched. Always disconnect the power to the panel before working on it. Use insulated tools and wear safety glasses to protect yourself from electrical shock and other hazards. If you are not comfortable working with electrical panels, it's best to hire a qualified electrician to do the work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it's important to take the necessary precautions to protect yourself from injury. Proper planning is essential for a successful electrical panel relocation. Before starting the project, carefully assess your electrical needs and determine the best location for the new panel. Consider factors such as access, environmental conditions, working space, and future expansion. Obtain the necessary permits and hire a qualified electrician if needed. By taking the time to plan the project carefully, you can ensure a safe and successful outcome. The NEC also addresses the use of surge protective devices, or SPDs. SPD are designed to protect electrical equipment from voltage surges caused by lightning strikes or other electrical disturbances. SPD are typically installed at the electrical panel and can help to prevent damage to sensitive electronic equipment. When selecting an SPD, choose one that is rated for the appropriate voltage and surge current capacity. The SPD should be installed according to the manufacturer's instructions. Regular maintenance is important for ensuring the safety and reliability of your electrical system. Inspect your electrical panel regularly for signs of damage or corrosion. Check the circuit breakers to make sure they are functioning properly. Replace any damaged or worn components. If you notice any problems with your electrical system, contact a qualified electrician to have them repaired. By performing regular maintenance, you can help to prevent electrical problems and ensure the safety of your home. The NEC provides detailed information on the proper installation and maintenance of electrical systems. The NEC is a valuable resource for electricians, contractors, and homeowners. By following the NEC guidelines, you can ensure a safe and reliable electrical system. Always consult the latest edition of the NEC for the most up-to-date information. The NEC is updated every 3 years, so it's important to stay current with the latest changes. Changes in electrical codes are based on research of the causes of electrical fires and electrocutions and new technological advancements. When working with electrical systems, it's important to be aware of the potential hazards. Electrical systems contain live electrical components that can cause serious injury or death if touched. Always disconnect the power to the system before working on it. Use insulated tools and wear safety glasses to protect yourself from electrical shock and other hazards. If you are not comfortable working with electrical systems, it's best to hire a qualified electrician to do the work. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it's important to take the necessary precautions to protect yourself from injury. The National Electrical Code, specifically Section 110.26, addresses the dedicated equipment space around the panel. This section of the code requires that a dedicated space shall be provided and maintained around all electrical equipment. This space shall be clear and unobstructed. No piping, ductwork, or other equipment foreign to the electrical equipment can extend into this dedicated space. The dedicated equipment space extends from the floor to a height of 6 feet above the equipment or to the structural ceiling, whichever is lower. The width of the dedicated equipment space shall be the width of the equipment. The depth of the dedicated equipment space shall be at least 36 inches for equipment operating at 600 volts, nominal or less. The NEC also provides requirements for the working clearances around electrical equipment. Working clearances are the unobstructed space required in front of electrical equipment to allow for safe operation and maintenance. The working clearances required depend on the voltage of the equipment and the conditions of the surrounding area. For equipment operating at 600 volts, nominal or less, the working clearance shall be at least 3 feet wide, 3 feet deep, and 6 feet 6 inches high. The working clearance shall be increased if the equipment is located in a confined space or if there are exposed live parts on the opposite side of the equipment. In addition to the working clearances, the NEC also requires that there be adequate lighting in the area around electrical equipment. The lighting shall be sufficient to allow for safe operation and maintenance of the equipment. The lighting shall be located so as not to cast shadows on the equipment. The NEC also requires that there be adequate ventilation in the area around electrical equipment. The ventilation shall be sufficient to prevent the equipment from overheating. The ventilation shall be located so as not to introduce moisture or dust into the equipment. In addition to the NEC requirements, there may also be local codes or regulations that apply to electrical installations. Check with your local building department to determine the specific requirements in your area. When relocating an electrical panel, it is also important to consider the location of other utilities such as gas lines and water pipes. The electrical panel should be located away from these utilities to prevent damage or injury. In addition to the safety considerations, there are also aesthetic considerations to keep in mind when relocating an electrical panel. The panel should be located in an area that is not highly visible and that does not detract from the appearance of the room. If possible, the panel should be concealed behind a cabinet or other enclosure. When relocating an electrical panel, it is also important to consider the cost of the project. The cost of the project will depend on the complexity of the relocation, the materials used, and the labor costs. Obtain several bids from qualified electricians before starting the project. Be sure to compare the bids carefully and choose the electrician who offers the best value. When relocating an electrical panel, it is important to hire a qualified electrician. A qualified electrician has the training and experience to safely and correctly relocate the panel. A qualified electrician will also be familiar with the NEC and local codes and regulations. When hiring an electrician, be sure to check their references and verify their license and insurance. Also, it is important to have them explain the grounding process. The grounding process is also essential in the relocation process.